space. All the time you have to leave the space.
This is Fernando Alonso. A little short-tempered, but still a chill guy. The problem is you don't want to get on his bad side. These are the crazy times when Fernando Alonso absolutely destroyed his opponents with disrespect. Maiden F1 victory. The 2003 Formula One season will forever be remembered for the dominance of Ferrari. It was in the middle of an era when no one thought Michael Schumacher would ever be dethroned. Starting from pole, the race was on edge from the start. Both Montoya and Ralf Schumacher, who joined Alonso at the front, had poor getaways. Meanwhile, champion Michael was starting from P8 and could simply not manage to navigate Monaco without the barriers on this day. A few things happened, including a Schumi spin on turn 2, but it was Alonso all the time. After the pit stops, the Spaniard led the race by a whopping 16 seconds over Kimi Räikkönen in second place. But this is the day Schumacher was humiliated, as just a few laps from the end, the Spaniard unceremoniously lapped the championship leader. Destruction of a 7-time champ by the rookie. 2010 Singapore Grand Prix. In a stunning turn of events, the 2010 Singapore Grand Prix was one for the ages. Fernando Alonso put his Ferrari on pole, despite the pressure coming from both Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel. As the race got underway, it was the two main title protagonists who were at war with one another, ultimately getting the best of the rest of the field. Alonso and Vettel continued streaking away, eventually building a more than 10-second lead to Mark Webber, but Vettel was still a threat. By the end of the race, the German began putting more pressure on Alonso, eventually closing the gap to just 0.3. Fortunately, the Heikki Kovalainen incident brought out the yellow flags, allowing Alonso to cruise to victory. He also won his first Grand Chelem in the process, earning a pole position, fastest lap, and leading the race from start to finish. 2010 Korean Grand Prix. Staying with the 2010 season, Alonso again proved his dominance driving for Ferrari. Despite only qualifying in third, the Ferrari got some extra speed and a little bit of luck at the same time. Despite Vettel leading from the start, the visibility on track became a real issue, with Sebastian one of the first to complain. Then, tragedy struck for the Red Bull, losing most of its power through turn 17. Alonso simply swooped by and took the lead, which would eventually become the victory. Despite the arduous conditions, the Spaniard proved that his natural instincts were far beyond that of his opponents. 2005 Japanese Grand Prix. The Japanese Grand Prix is renowned for giving us some of the best races ever. Back in 2005, the championship was simple. It would either be Michael Schumacher or Fernando Alonso, and Suzuka became the changing of guard moment. Despite both drivers fighting for position and having to start in the middle of the pack, it all came down to one moment. In a move that will forever be iconic, Alonso did the unthinkable, going around the outside of Michael Schumacher around 130R. The move was incredible and showed just how good of a driver the wily old fox had become. After the race, Alonso was asked about his audacious move, stating that Michael had a wife and 2 children and he knew he was going to brake. Had Michael not braked, it would have been a very unfortunate incident. Nevertheless, Alonso made up many positions, finishing the race on the podium. 2006 Japanese Grand Prix. Jumping another year forward, we find ourselves in the same race. Again, it was the same title protagonists, but this time Alonso was starting from the third row, whilst Michael was on the first. Alonso was in reach of his second World Riders' Championship and put on a show that fans will probably remember forever. Alonso struggled in the early going to overtake the 2 Toyotas, but it wouldn't hamper his performance. Once he got past, he began chasing the Ferraris, eventually taking down Massa in the pit stop phase. However, Michael was pushing, meaning he would take the lead into the final race. Alonso's pressure forced Schumi to put a little too much demand on his engine, which eventually failed. This not only handed Fernando the win, but sealed the title, meaning the Spaniard was now a 2-time world champion. 2018 Azerbaijan Grand Prix. No one can deny the tenacity of Fernando Alonso, but by 2018 the Spaniard was having a hard time driving for McLaren. Aiming for a rare points finish, the former world champion struck some bad luck on lap 1. After sustaining 2 punctures on his right side, he skillfully drove the car back to the pits without any further incident. After the car was checked, Alonso strapped on a new pair of boots and was sent on his way. Now more than 20 points of downforce down on his competitors, he obliterated the field, navigating through all the slower cars. By the time the race had come to an end, Fernando Alonso had put his McLaren on P7, earning a rare points finish for a struggling McLaren outfit. This just showed his true tenacity. 2006 Spanish Grand Prix. When you arrive at your home Grand Prix as the defending champion, fans certainly expect a lot. This is exactly what happened during the 2006 Spanish Grand Prix. Despite all the doubt, Alonso put his Renault on pole for the Sunday race. It would ultimately be what he needed. After lights out, the Spaniard continued surging forward, eventually extending his lead over second-place Schumacher to more than 10 seconds. After the pit stops, his dominance continued, eventually leading to a classy display. By the time the checkered flag came down, Alonso had won in front of the Spanish faithful with a margin of more than 18 seconds, completely showing everyone who was the boss. 2007 European Grand Prix. If you're looking for an exciting yet controversial race, few things compare to the 2007 European Grand Prix. After some torrential rain, the track was wet, leading to almost half the grid spinning out. But not Alonso. Despite the horrible conditions, the Spaniard continued pushing his car to the absolute limit, where he found himself against Felipe Massa after the restart. Despite the quicker Ferrari in the drying conditions, rain again began falling. Alonso clawed back Massa's advantage, and by lap 56 he was visibly faster. The Spaniard sent one around the outside, banging ties with the Brazilian but toughed it out. Finally, he would emerge victorious after the incredibly tough and highly intense race. Alonso proved he was better than Lewis in changing conditions. 2012 Malaysian Grand Prix. The 2012 Malaysian Grand Prix had a very similar tone to the previous one on the list. Despite barely making Q3, Alonso found himself in P8 when the lights went out. A tropical downpour was looming and everyone wondered what the race would hold. Alonso quickly climbed to P5, eventually having the race stopped due to the rain. But when things restarted, the Spaniard made the right call, pitting and coming out in P2. A young Sergio Perez in the Sauber was looking like he was going to win when Alonso used his experience to overtake him. The two continued battling it out to the end when Perez made the mistake Fernando was waiting for. The Spaniard kept his cool, bringing the car home and ultimately sealing a remarkable victory. 2012 European Grand Prix. Winning your home Grand Prix is the thing every F1 driver dreams about. However, doing so from P11 is virtually impossible, especially given the layout of the Valencia street circuit. With Vettel getting a fresh start, Alonso was dominating the midfield. By the time he completed the first round of pit stops, the Spaniard found himself in P4. A few laps later, the safety car was deployed, with every driver heading into the pits to strap on a new pair of boots. A bad pit stop from McLaren promoted Alonso back up into third place, where the Spaniard made good use of the restart. He immediately passed Romain Grosjean, increasing the pressure on leader Sebastian Vettel. Then, the unthinkable happened when the Red Bull was forced to retire due to an alternator failure. This sent the crowd into a frenzy as Alonso would come home to win the European Grand Prix. His drive from 11th to 1st will forever remain iconic. As unpredictable as Formula One can be, there has always been a single consistent measuring stick. Fernando Alonso has carried this burden, and despite all the antics, the wily old fox is still a king on the track. But which race do you think was his best of all time? Let us know in the comments below.